Mike and Tom are registered with Stewart Partners Global Advisory LLC.
Common Sense Finance with Mike Wiginton and Tom Farrell of HL Wiginton Capital Management, an independent investment and financial planning firm in downtown Jasper. Mike is a chartered financial analyst charter holder, and Tom is a certified financial planner professional. They are here to discuss and give their thoughts on current financial and economic matters. Now, with Common Sense Finance, here are Mike and Tom.
Welcome back to another segment of Common Sense Finance. I'm Tom, this is Mike, and today is March 5th, 2020, and we wanted to talk about something that's hot in the news right now that I'm sure you can't turn any news outlet on without seeing something about the coronavirus and what's going on. And we're going to talk specifically about what it's done to the stock market. And it's caused a big drop, and it's not that the stock market is concerned about you getting sick or somebody dying. That's obviously important, but the stock market's trying to figure out, okay, what is this going to do to corporate earnings going forward?
Absolutely.
It's concerned about the disruption of the supply chain out of China, where we and the rest of the world get a lot of our components and finished goods. The market is telling us right now, hey, there's a big concern that this is going to cause an issue and potentially even a recession going forward.
Absolutely, and I think just to back up for a second, that it is important to emphasize where we are, what day, March the 5th, as you said, where these cases are. We're using a live update site for the coronavirus. There may be more. But if you Google up, for example, or whatever your favorite browser is, coronavirus live update, you come to this site. It's the first one on my search. And, as of this morning, there have been almost 97,000 confirmed cases since the outbreak began, 3,308 deaths. But the statistic that caught my eye was the number of active cases today. Because 2 days ago, when I started looking at the site, there were almost just over 41,000 cases, 41,186. Then yesterday, just over 40,000 cases, 40,385. Then this morning, 39,499. So that trend is good. It's obviously
Sure.
Positive. It's going down, but nonetheless, we want to set the stage for where we are in this process, so that you can have some idea. We hope it only takes maybe a couple of days to get this video out, and certainly things will have changed by then.
Right.
Okay. But the business element that you're talking about is spot on. That's what's going on with the market, and there's some real reasons that the market ought to be concerned.
Yeah, and it is. And going back a couple of weeks just after the outbreak, what was going on in China was a big concern because a lot of American companies, as well as companies around the world, like I said before, get a lot of their components and goods from China. And Apple came out and said, hey, we're going to have an issue with this thing. We have a lot of our manufacturing facilities in China that make the iPhones. We're going to have a shortage. This is going to affect our earnings going forward. So you saw not only Apple, but a lot of other companies, or just pretty much most of the market, sold off on that news because there's concern that a huge disruption to the supply chain is going to hurt the overall economy.
Well, listen, we received a report earlier in the week where some of the risk analysts for a couple of giant global insurers like AXA and Aon told their really big commercial contractors to prepare for being able to not get supplies, and that the supplies they were going to be able to get, that they wouldn't be able to afford them. It's like I told you, that was kind of ominous language, and now the talk is about might we enter into a recession, and so those are real reasons to be concerned. They're absolutely, in my opinion, going to hit the bottom line. I think that's a given. We just don't know how much, and as you alluded to, that's what the market's trying to figure out and trying to get it right.
Yeah, and nobody knows how long the effect of this is going to last either. That's the big unknown, and the market does not like unknowns. Doesn't like things. So you look at travel and tourism, airlines. They're all going to be, and already have been, hit pretty hard with the slowdown, and people just don't want to go anywhere. They're afraid to travel. So those are things that we have to look at going forward. But the key here is, if you're positioned well and you're a long-term investor, this could be a good opportunity for you.
Sure, and that's probably in my mind, the most important part of doing this particular podcast is because we do get those questions. Hey, what do we do now? You and I have long told people this is based on history, and as we always say, not that the future is going to be exactly like history, but historically we've gotten 3 to 5 pullbacks a year between 5 and 10%. Now we need to make sure we define this. A correction is defined as a 10% pullback.
Right.
Okay, and we've always told people that, hey, when you get the market that's pulled back 10%, once it hits 10%, we ought to be looking at putting some money into the market. We don't get so many of those that you can't miss those opportunities to put new money in. The rebuttal is always, well, how do you know it's not going down minus 20? The answer, of course, is you don't know, but you can't afford to miss the minus 10s and waiting around on the minus 20s,
Right.
which are very rare. And if you do hit minus 20, you really ought to be looking at how you can find some resources to put in the stock market, in our opinion. And that's not to put people out of their comfort zone. We certainly wouldn't recommend to anyone, no matter what the market situation, that they get outside their allocation or outside their risk tolerance. That's not the point here.
Yeah.
It's just that we believe, and history's on our side on this, that it certainly is a buying opportunity.
It is, and the market's been all over the place the last couple of weeks. It's been had more than 1,000-point drops, 1,000 points on the upside, and we're hovering today, March 5th, again, we're hovering right around that 10% mark.
That's right. All three major indices
so we're,
today. Yep.
We're close to, if not in, a correction territory. So now's the time to be looking at, okay, what is my strategy long term? And if it is growth, you do have a longer time horizon, you are trying to grow your assets, and you have the ability and the capacity to take on some risk assets, now's the time to be putting those monies in the market.
And listen, you can go to get on your favorite browser, you can Google it up. Investopedia is a very popular site, Market Watch. There's any number that you can go to and Google up corrections, frequency of corrections in the stock market, and you can see this data that we're talking about. And that's where, of course, I pull my information from our history and our experience in the stock market, and of course our Bloomberg machine backs us up. But again, these numbers are fairly easy to get.
Yeah, they are, and it kind of backing up a little bit. We've all been spoiled a little bit the last 5, 6, 7 years. We haven't had a lot of volatility in the market. We've had a couple of episodes here and there, but like you said, historically 3 to 5 pullbacks of 5 to 10%. We haven't gotten that in the last few years.
Right.
We had one here or there, but so this is something to take advantage of, I think.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Okay.
Is that the last word on the coronavirus?
That's the last word.
The coronavirus and you.
The coronavirus and you. That does wrap it up for now. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
I just can't believe all the things people say. Controversy. Am I black or white? Am I straight or gay? Controversy. Do I believe God? Do I believe me? Controversy. 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 I can't understand